And have you seen that game yet, Phasmophobia?
No. What's that?
It's kind of a ghost hunter game, and you get like up to 4 different people, and it's like a collaborative thing where you each only have a certain amount of tools you get to walk into the house with.
Oh, sure. Huh.
Yeah. And the ghost kills you when you anger it, which is great.
That's kind of interesting. God, what was
It's got a voice-activated thing, so you kind of, you invoke its name. It's some randomly generated, like, biblical name, like Michael Brown or whatever.
Sure. Huh.
So there's a lot of great streams of people just, like, yelling names at walls and then getting killed by ghosts.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I feel like, I haven't played many ghost hunting games. I don't think there are really many. But they're usually, like, point-and-click adventures, which aren't really my thing.
Yeah, I know. It'll be a while before we're able to do that ourselves. If ever. Okay, so welcome to our inaugural episode of Gorman on Gore. Maybe. I'm your host, Peter Gorman, and with me as my co-host is the incomparable, the fantastic Jacob Heaton.
Hey.
Jacob?
Yeah, no, I'm here. So,
okay, great.
What's up, man?
As you know, this is a podcast in which we review horror films, so where we discuss and rate them on a 1 to 10 scale of goodness and badness, which is 2 separate scales, I suppose. I'm going mostly with an enjoyability scale, but you can do it however you like, and then we'll compare at the end.
Sure. Yeah, I figured it's more of a spectrum,
Yeah, like the autism spectrum.
I suppose you could make that comparison. Yeah.
Oh God, I'm horrifying you already on the first episode.
I just didn't think we were going in that direction.
There's a lot of spectrums. All right, I'll choose another one next time.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got a statement for you, Jacob. I want you to react to it. All right.
All right. That's been going good so far.
Yeah, Jacob. When a cop turns killer, you have the right to remain silent forever.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
I don't know if it does or not, but that's the tagline for this movie that we're about to review, Maniac Cop.
There's someone out there. No one knows his name. No one knows his face.
Oh, no.
But now, the most terrifying man in the city
Officer! Officer! Oh, thank God it's you.
carries a badge.
The head was unstable and there was a deceleration injury. As in your old hanging.
You really think a cop did this? Why not?
You automatically assume that it was a police officer instead of some lunatic dressed up like a cop.
Fight squad.
He'll kill again. He enjoys killing.
He strikes without cause, without mercy.
He may be getting information from inside the department.
That means he is one of us.
You see a cop, you cross to the other side of the street. You're not gonna get me.
Anybody who wants to shoot a cop nowadays has got one hell of an excuse.
Since when is my personal life any of your business?
Since your wife was found dead in the motel room.
You gotta be wrong.
You want to see the pretty picture?
Keep your hands where I can see them. Hold on, I didn't do any of this.
When a cop turns killer, you have the right to remain silent forever. Maniac Cop.
So it debuted in 1988, and it was, let me see, directed by William Lustig, who did the 2 sequels to this film as well as a horror film called Uncle Sam, which I don't know if you've ever seen.
You know what? I think I have seen that one.
Yeah. Although I think I'm actually more excited by the fact that this film was written by Larry Cohen. He also produced it because he is the director of The Stuff. If you remember that film.
No, I love The Stuff.
I would say almost everything Larry Cohen is involved in is borderline crazy.
Oh yeah, no, that movie is utter madness.
Yeah. And I'd say that this movie is, no exception to that. So I have copious notes on this film, as I've said before.
I would say an unhealthy amount of notes.
Well, okay. I mean, I don't want to say how many pages, on the podcast, but
No.
I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether or not it'll shoot me in the foot. I'm just going to follow this until we run out because I don't know. I feel like a lot needs to be explained at the beginning of this film and then not so much at the end.
No. I mean, the premise is pretty simple.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, it's about a maniac cop. But here's one of the very first things I wrote when I started watching this movie. Is Maniac Cop dead?
That's a good question.
I mean, do you have your own personal opinion on that?
I mean, I guess I was of the opinion that, the movie doesn't seem to care about answering that. Why should I?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into the details, but I mean, they give evidence that he's both alive and dead,
Yes.
and I guess it's just up to the viewer to decide, whichever they prefer. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a... No, it's actually not at all like a choose your own adventure, but in a movie form. That's... But you know what I mean.
Well, I guess it's up to interpretation, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's like reading tea leaves about the living or death of the titular character. Oh, actually, the very first line I wrote on the notes for this is, in all caps, Tom Atkins, Bruce Campbell. So yeah, this is like just after Evil Dead 2 when Bruce Campbell wasn't famous yet, and so he would just kind of do whatever was available.
I mean, did that ever change?
I guess not. Yeah.
I mean, I like the guy, but he, come on.
Yeah. Honestly, even in this movie, he's great. And that's the weird thing
yeah.
about this film. Like, I like the actors in it. I like the story, mostly. Well, not all of it. But overall, it's still just like, some of the parts don't exceed the parts, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, and Robert Zadar as Cordell.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone's favorite misshapen, giant-headed man. No, I love Robert Zadar, and I'm happy every time I see him. This might actually be my favorite role for him.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, definitely his most iconic.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so the movie begins, and right off the bat, there's a city line view, some stock footage, and I just wrote, the shot of the Twin Towers makes me sad.
That just like completely went over my head. I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
I blocked it out.
Well, listen, I'm a patriot, and I never forgot, all right?
Oh, well, you know what? I'm such a patriot that the trauma made me erase the tower in my mind.
Yeah, well, actually, it was a big thing back then. I mean, back when the buildings existed, people loved putting them in films. They were just in, like, almost every movie.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, not to focus too much on it, but I mean, I was alive back then too, man.
Technically. Okay, so I have this, I don't know, it's hard to describe the plot to this, so like I actually have the first half of the movie listed as a series of victims. So that's kind of how I have this laid out.
I mean, that's kind of the movie.
Okay, so here we go for this first part. I have a little summary for this poor woman that we start the movie with. Okay, so it's a woman named Cassie. She works 2 jobs. She fights off some muggers. A dude taking out the garbage sees, but could not care less. And then muggers pursue her for a ridiculously long amount of time.
Yes.
Like, after she's beaten them up and gotten away, she just, like, runs for, it seems like blocks, and they just keep following her.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. And then they kind of hide and watch what happens afterwards. I think it's because they see, the mysterious shape of a cop out on the street.
Yeah.
So when she gets to this, to the figure of a cop, She assumes the muggers are Puerto Rican, and then she has her neck broken.
Yes. I will say, it's a bit of a shame. I feel like, more so than a lot of slasher victims, she really wanted to not die.
Yeah, she was a fighter.
Yeah, she was willing to put in the work. So
Yeah, and all for naught.
no, yeah,
And it really sets a tone for the bleakness of this film, I have to say.
yeah. I mean, because like the movie feels like it could have been done wackier, but it is very bleak.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what, like, takes the joy out of it, like, in the end, you know, because I do like a silly evil cop idea, but almost half the people in this movie are totally innocent or have nothing to do with what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not skip too far ahead, but yeah, his motivation is completely out of line with what he ends up doing.
Yeah, he seems more like the villain of a comic book where, like, one bad thing happened to him, and so then he's like, then I have to kill everyone! And so, yeah, so for the next part, just to cement the sadness, we're introduced to Tom Atkins' character. He's a Detective McRae.
Yeah.
And he goes in and looks at her dead body. So Atkins assumes it's a cop immediately. You know, when he's talking to... who is that guy? He's like a psychologist or maybe someone in the police department? Do you remember that part where the other guy, you know, he's talking to, says, you know, you never smile. And, yeah, and then he just...
That's true, he never does.
And then he smiles like a lunatic to prove he's not crazy.
Yeah, he does a real bad job of not making him look like he is, in fact, the Maniac Cop.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, that Tom Atkins is wonderful in this role. I love this whole thing. This is great.
Oh, yeah. I wrote a note about that. What was it? His name was Frank, right?
Yeah, Frank McRae.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says when he sees the poor lady's body, he says, "You must have been so afraid, Cassie." And then you saw a cop. And it, you know, it gave me a sad, so it worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are some good performances all around. I do think his is probably the best.
Yeah, I would actually say there's like solid performances from almost everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so from that sad scene, we then get to the second victim, who is a drunk boyfriend and his girlfriend who were stopped at a red light. And then he gets, well, I was going to say he gets pulled over, but no, he's already stopped. So, yeah, the Maniac Cop just sort of appears next to his car, and they even say it in the movie. They're like, where did he come from? And so the boyfriend gets let out of the car. He thinks he's taking a sobriety test. And then, lo and behold, Maniac Cop has a knife in his baton, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, I was curious about that. That was very weird.
Yeah, and this is a scene where when he gets cut and then thrown onto the windshield, you can actually see what looks like bottles of like blood being poured onto the windshield. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So the girlfriend watches the boyfriend get mortally injured on the windshield, and then she drives away without checking to see if he is still alive.
Look, I'm going to give her a pass on that. I feel like in that situation... Look, I'm not saying that if a Maniac Cop killed, you in front of me, I would just bail, but...
Oh, well.
That would definitely be the temptation.
Yeah, I mean, in the heat of the moment, and also, you don't know where he is. He could just come out and do something. But the boyfriend's dead body just rolls off of the windshield onto the curb as she drives away.
Yeah. Well, this could also, could be a first date situation. You don't really, who knows?
She seemed familiar with him, but also as an actress. I can't remember who she is, and I'm sad I didn't look it up. But yeah, I know I'll recognize her later. I think she's in like one of the Death Spa movies or something like that.
Huh.
But yeah, it'd be funny if they actually had a scene later with like a coroner and he's like, well, actually the cuts were pretty superficial, but after he rolled off of the car, that's what killed him.
Yeah, broke his neck.
He was so close to living. Okay. So then, victim number 3. We've got a man walking to his car who is cuffed by the mysterious cop who pulls out a knife in the baton, and the guy runs away. His cuffs get all bloody as the man flees.
Mhm.
He stumbles into an apartment building entrance and hits buttons with his nose, which totally doesn't work.
No.
It is funny, though, just hearing like the utter disregard people had for him as like someone begging for help on their doorstep. He's like, get out of here!
I can't say I blame him. I feel like if I got that call like that late at night, I would be more pissed off than anything.
This is New York, after all. I wonder if they were thinking of that famous case where like a lady was killed right in front of her apartment and like nobody called the police.
I would say that this is maybe not the movie for that kind of like not a socially conscious movie like that.
I think it's got a little bit.
A little
but
bit.
yeah, maybe not enough to warrant it. I think the movie like seems to be undecided about whether it's like more of a serious take on this stuff or not.
Yeah.
And it just gets sillier
I
as
do
it
feel
goes.
like- Yeah, the sillier or the more serious stuff is way more compelling to me.
Yeah.
We'll talk about a little bit of that as it comes up, but I would kind of like to see a remake that leaned more into that, you know?
Yeah.
Because they also they gloss over a lot of the unrest of the people.
I don't know how to tell you this, Jacob.
Yes.
But there's already multiple sequels.
Or sorry, remake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Damn.
I don't think any of them truly address any of this.
No.
Yeah, they were mostly made as direct-to-video sequels. So yeah.
Mhm.
Although honestly, I think I prefer the second movie more.
You know, it's been a really long time. I should maybe watch the other two.
You know, we'll get to it eventually, but after this one, I feel like I'm gonna need a cop break for just at least one iteration.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, also because I do remember some aspects of the second movie that were grim in a way that really bummed me out.
Yeah, I wonder if they all have that. I gave up after the second one. Okay.
Yeah, I have no memories of the third one, so.
So this guy, he's cuffed, he's running away, his hands are bloody. He trips and falls in wet cement and is smothered in it by the mysterious cop. And they have to jackhammer his face out.
An excellent scene.
Yeah, a lovely kill, to put it in slasher terms. A pointless death for an innocent man.
Yes.
Which
no relation to anything going on.
Yeah, it's just a running theme in this film. Yeah. And then right afterwards, the city keeps the murders quiet. I guess the mayor's embarrassed or something.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately afterwards, like the next scene, you see Tom Atkins, Detective McCrae, leaks the info to the press. Do you remember what he says to the press lady when he does this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so he tells her all about it, and she's like, "Oh, is he only killing like druggies and junkies and stuff, or drug dealers?" Like as if that was okay. And he's like, "No.
Yeah, the movie has.
This is like real, actual people,
Yeah, the movie has a lot of that. Like this this idea that like the only thing that he's really doing wrong is that he's like killing like people that we know to be innocent. But if he was just keeping it to the criminals,
Yeah, I feel like
then it would be okay.
if this was like a Death Wish movie, I feel like even that guy would be mad at Maniac Cop. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
You're not even pretending to do something wrong. Okay, but no, that wasn't actually the worst line from her. I wrote this down and I triple underlined it, so brace yourself.
Right.
Oh no, it was actually what Atkins said. He says, "Make it bigger than AIDS."
Yeah, got that one.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And this is like in 1988, so I think that's when the worst of it, like when they didn't even know what it was yet and stuff.
No, that was just a line that really, really didn't age well.
I don't know that it was good at the time.
No, but it only got worse.
Yeah. Okay, so after this, I have just sort of a general thought. Because at this point in the movie, they've already shown the outline of the cop, and there's like an implication that maybe it's Tom Atkins and maybe it could be other people. But when you see the shape of his head, you know immediately that it's Robert Z'Dar.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen. Yeah, I assume you've seen Z'Dar in other films, right?
I have watched Pocket Ninjas. Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. So there's no polite way to put this. Robert Z'Dar has a head shaped like a malformed brick. Why is this movie acting like a whodunit?
That's a really good question, especially because he is a very tall man, too.
They do at least mention that.
Even if they were to ignore his bizarre head, he is still a very tall man who does not look like any of the possible suspects, even a little.
Later on in the film, there is a computer screen that I was able to stop on, and I saw it was the all points bulletin for the Maniac Cop, and he is listed as having extreme strength, which I appreciated that they put a superpower in on their all points bulletin.
Yeah.
His mega strength. Watch out for it.
Extreme strength, imperviousness to bullets.
Well, actually,
flight?
Yes, that too.
Question mark?
Yeah. Okay, so then we come to the next victim, although I don't have it on my kill list because it's not by the Maniac Cop. No. So a woman's car breaks down. There's a lot of smoke, so it's probably like a real issue. And she is frightened by the arrival of the police vehicle because she just heard on the radio that there's a Maniac Cop. It's finally become a big deal. And as soon as the guy comes to her window and knocks, she just turns and fires from a gun out of her purse without even looking at who it is. And just kills an innocent police officer.
Blows him away.
Yeah. I mean, it's out like the top of his head, so, I mean, everything in between is probably gone, I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, for as short of a scene as it is and as little consequences it has to the rest of the movie, that was really compelling to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I wish the movie had played more of onto the real fear people do have of being pulled over by the cops and their presence, and because I feel like that played really well into that, the relationship people have with the police.
Yeah. Luckily, things have gotten much better since then.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, okay, we'll save it for the reveal of his motivation, but kind of funny if you think about it.
Yeah. So they go back to the police station, or there's a scene where the Captain Ripley, who is introduced as a gravelly voiced man. He's maybe my 5th favorite character in this movie, but that's just because all the characters are great.
Yeah.
He mentions complainingly, at least I believe it's him, that there's 700 letters of complaint about the cops that have come in. And he says it's like people just complaining about parking tickets and they accuse them of being the killer cop. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, because even if 5% of that is not about that would still be really concerning. Yeah,
I feel like throughout the movie they kind of gloss over it, but the police do not come across as real great in Maniac Cop.
Well, they don't come across as terrible, I guess.
Well, what I'm saying is they're very dismissive of the people and their very real concerns about the existence of a Maniac Cop.
Well, I don't know if anyone's predisposed to believe that at the outset, but eventually, it should be, it should be obvious.
Yeah.
What with the bodies piling up and the reports from people who just keep seeing the cop killing someone, but not close enough to see his face or the wounds on it, apparently, but just far enough so you get a sense that it's a cop.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that, because it would be so much more weird if people just didn't see him doing this.
Well, I mean, I think it's an ongoing issue with the movie, that there's just a lack of witnesses to corroborate anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, I don't know that anybody should have, gotten off the hook. I mean, well, that's skipping ahead a little bit, but yeah. Okay, so now we're going to, we finally get to introduce Bruce Campbell, who is unfortunately not the main character.
No.
Uh,
Only the main character of our hearts.
yeah, really. Because, yeah, he's young and adorable in this, and he's got a wife who's terrified of him.
Okay, I'm still looking over that note, and it's very much amusing to me. Like, my first note is just that, like, how much of a nag she is. And it's, like, not even necessarily without reason, but it is, like, literally just what her character is.
That's rather harsh, I have to say. I mean, once you find out, like, almost immediately that she's getting creepy phone calls from some weird lady, you know, like telling her husband's killing people.
Yeah, but I feel like that is, like, a recent development. Whereas, like, their relationship was, like, kind of been shit for a while now.
I feel as though the movie has like designs against this woman.
No, it's completely true. Like, it's completely unfair. But, like, that is the impression you're supposed to get from her.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, their marriage is falling apart. They're probably right on the verge of divorce. You know.
Oh yeah.
And she's also possibly considering the notion that maybe he's going out at night and killing people for no reason.
Yeah, I feel like that's, you know, your relationship is in trouble when you suspect that your husband may be a serial killer.
And she starts to like inch towards that when she's talking to him, but you know he's surprised, but he's not that surprised, which is also troubling.
Yes.
He's like, yes, I know
he
you.
does
It's
not...
reasonable to believe I'm a murderer, but I'm not.
Yeah, he does not take that as seriously as he definitely should.
Yeah. And then after that, she just immediately follows him outside, and they go, and he goes right to a motel, and she finds him with another woman inside of said motel.
Yeah. He definitely could have tried more. No sympathy there. Even like, come on.
Well, I don't understand. Wait, what do you mean? Like you don't like his strategy?
No, I mean, like, he shouldn't be cheating on her, but it's like, if you're also gonna put, like, zero effort into hiding it, can you really act outraged when she finds out?
Well, he should have doubled back.
No, I'm saying...
Should have covered his tracks better.
He acts all, like, you know, defensive about, or outraged about it, but it's like, I mean, first of all, you shouldn't have been cheating on her. Second of all, if you didn't want to get caught, like, put any effort into not doing it.
He is weirdly, like... Yeah, he seems almost like on the attack when she finds him. Where he's just like, well, I was going to tell you, but I didn't want it to be like this.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Yeah. Sorry, man. You're in the wrong here.
Yeah. This also introduces the character of Mallory, although she looks so different in this scene that I didn't realize it was the same woman when they introduced her later.
Yeah, that's true.
There's actually several times where that happens, where like characters do something and I don't realize it's the same person. Maybe not a great indication for the film. Okay, oh yeah,
No.
and then right after that, you know, the woman, you know, the wife, she pulls a gun on the two of them. He sort of talks her down. I think she just kind of decides not to shoot them. And then she leaves and is immediately kidnapped by the Maniac Cop. So I would assume that he was given instructions to come here and frame him. I think.
Yeah, that it was the implication I got.
So that is interesting because later on, you know, we do, you know, minor spoiler alert, find out that he is in fact framed, or at least he thinks he is. But he doesn't mind doing it to anyone else, I guess. Which really, like, just muddies the waters here, you know?
Yeah, there's some weird, like, moral grayness with the characters.
I don't think it's grayness. I feel like he's just kind of evil.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually watched an interview with Robert Zadar shortly before we did this, and he's just like, oh yeah, he's kind of a sympathetic character, and then he thinks about it, and he's like, no wait, no he isn't.
I mean, the movie tries.
Yeah.
Like especially later on with his frankly kind of silly backstory.
Right after this is introduced to like one of my favorite characters that has no part in this film, the housekeeping lady at the motel. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
She says, "You folks checked out yet? Must have partied up good in here." I love that lady.
Yeah.
And she finds the wife with her throat slit, and so that must be a rough morning for her.
Oh yeah.
And then we go to the police department, and Bruce Campbell is just pulled right out of a public meeting to be told that he's on the hook for murdering his wife by Captain Ripley.
Pretty rough.
I'm just thinking how weird that must be, where they're all just having some kind of I don't know what that was, a debriefing or a tutorial of some sort, and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute, I just need you over here for a second. Yeah, your wife's dead."
Yeah, they don't give him much time to prepare himself for that.
And again, he doesn't seem that sad.
No.
If this was a slightly more subtle film, they would have continued to play with that notion that both Atkins and Campbell could have done it,
Yes. I feel like that would have been a more compelling movie, I think.
It starts to do that. I feel like they're playing with the idea, but they just never really follow through.
Yeah, I feel like that's a recurring theme with this movie is interesting ideas that they kind of play with, but then just don't fully commit to.
Yeah. So his wife, for seemingly no reason, was saving clippings of the murders. Because if she thought that her husband was the murderer, I don't know what that means. Was she, honoring what he was doing? Was she proud of his work?
Yeah, I feel like that could backfire.
Well, it did
so
backfire. It
badly.
immediately did.
Well, I'm just saying if he was actually the killer, would you really want some proof going around that you're suspicious and maybe connecting some dots?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that's a really good way to get yourself killed by a maniac cop, which
I feel like once again they've just
happened anyway.
They've just thrown this wife character under the bus because they're like, we need somebody to just get this guy in hella trouble. Yeah. So we're gonna have her just keep a little scrapbook.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Campbell's on the hook. He's being interrogated by the police even after he asked for a lawyer. The lawyer comes in and says that voluntary statements made to investigators after being read their Miranda rights are inadmissible because he invoked his right to counsel. That's probably true. I don't know.
Could be. Seems like it.
I'm actually not sure, even though I have a law degree.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. That feels like something you should know.
I feel like it's inadmissible, but there's always weird exceptions. I mean, the problem is that usually when you ask for a lawyer, you then go silent. You're like, I'm not saying anything until my lawyer shows up. But Bruce Campbell asked for one, and then he just kept talking. So I think that's inadmissible, but it also seems somewhat voluntary. So I don't know.
Yeah. Also, strong evidence that his character is a huge dipshit.
Yes. Well, I mean, the weird thing is that if you are innocent, you're not using strategy because you're not thinking about things like that,
Yeah.
It's not even occurring to him that he's going to swing for all this. Okay, yeah, then we have a great scene where the cops are just sitting at a bar and they're just listening to the news, and it's just people talking about how much they hate cops. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
There's an African-American guy talking about how his friends have been shot in the back, where they said they had a shiny thing in their hand.
Yeah.
Genuinely a good social issue and a big bummer.
Yeah. I mean, that just ties back into the whole, relationship with the police element that the movie should have leaned more into, and, hey, if they ever want to do a remake...
Yeah. I mean,
maybe,
it's a cool idea, but then they kind of dilute it immediately by, putting, silly stuff people are saying about cops on either side of it,
Well, that's what I'm saying, is, the movie never commits to that stuff because it always kind of treats the concerns of the people as if, there's some legitimacy, but then it has to be immediately balanced out with, pure quackery.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe just to make it more palatable. This was made in 1988, so,
Yeah.
Okay, so Campbell's lover is a cop coworker by the name of Teresa Mallory, and she's in the Vice Squad. So, the first time we see her clothed, she's undercover as a prostitute.
Classic.
So she immediately admits that she's a cop to the John that drives up. I found that to be that was questionable to me.
That was very that was very poor police work.
Well, I think that people work on that assumption that if you ask a cop if they're a cop, they have to say yes.
Yeah, but she's a cop. She should know that you don't have to.
Well, yeah, but I wonder if that's almost like a weird deal that like Hollywood made with cops, where they're like, yeah, we'll just spread this disinformation so that people will ask, and then you can just say no.
You know what? I like that idea a lot. That's like going into some like deep conspiracy stuff.
Yeah, well, okay, that's the thing. It's just a theory, and it's I have nothing to to make sense of any of that or prove it, but
Sure. I mean, sort of like how what is it? The military has to like approve certain scripts if they have like real like fighter jets and whatnot in it.
Well, come to think of it, they probably wouldn't have approved this movie, considering how many cops are indicted or murdered or embarrassed.
Or they okay, well, like skipping ahead, there's that parade scene
Yeah.
where they have just that footage of the cop drinking a beer,
And,
like completely like he was not in on that. They just took some like footage of a cop drinking on the job.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Where they just filmed the parade. Yeah, that was great. Wonderful last half of your movie. So the Maniac Cop finds her in an alley, and she says she's undercover, but he comes at her anyway. So then Tom Atkins somehow knows. I think they knew that she was in trouble from the earlier scene because Campbell identified who she was or was going to, and so for whatever reason he shows up, and they both pull guns and they both shoot the Maniac Cop. I counted 10 bullets hitting him. So yeah. It hurts my theory that he's alive, but I still happen to believe it.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know why they won't just commit to a lane on that.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean,
he clearly
they mention a bulletproof vest, so there is that.
Yeah.
But then they immediately mess it up by having Mallory say, "I shot him twice in the head. I know I did," or something to that effect.
Yeah, that's true. God.
So, and she also said that his hands were cold even underneath the gloves. I mean, that scene says zombie, right?
Yeah.
He's a deathless revenant. He's back for revenge.
Yeah, but I mean, the movie still casts doubt on that, even though I feel like that scene settles it, right?
Yeah, well, she also says he wasn't breathing, although I don't know if you'd be able to tell one way or the other about that.
No, I mean, maybe if it was, cold enough.
Yeah. Okay. So then we're introduced to an older lady with a cane and a creepy a leg brace, who was identified for having known Mallory's secret. And so they sort of find her out because, she was one of the only people who would have known that Mallory was having an affair with Bruce Campbell. So then Tom Atkins goes in there to talk to her, and she's in record keeping in the police department, and she's creepy right off the bat,
Yeah.
So if you're a cop, you're probably got your cop senses tingling right off, just what is with this lady? It's curious that she's working right in the den of policemen.
Yeah.
So he basically just tips her off, that Mallory is still alive. He's like, "Hey, isn't that great news?" And and Sally Nolan is like, "Yeah, that's great. I have to go now." And so
yes, I have something I must attend to.
Yeah, exactly. And so he just immediately tails her because I guess she's an idiot, and she just immediately drives off to the docks. And this is the point in the movie where I wrote the note, 46 minutes in, and all the mystery has evaporated.
More or less, yeah, at that point.
I mean, because at that point, you know it's not Bruce Campbell, and you know it's not Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
So unless they introduce, even more characters, that could be it. It's just oh, I guess it's this zombie guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not that they've introduced a character, but, I mean, it's a deathless person who got shot 10 times.
Yeah, there's no whodunit aspect. It's just what the hell's going on with this zombie cop.
Maybe they should have brought up the concept that she thought she hit him, but she didn't hit him as many times as she thought.
Maybe, yeah.
But her and Tom Atkins were both there, and they both seem to very accurately like collide with his flesh, with the bullets,
Yeah.
which doesn't
They,
help.
No.
I would have preferred maybe that they just shoot at a dark shape and then they're not sure if they got him, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been the way to go.
Yeah, well, hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yeah. I can't believe they didn't make this movie like we would have.
So the old lady goes out to an abandoned pier. We find out later it's Pier 14, I guess. And she talks to the Maniac Cop. And when she thinks she hears a rat, she fires 4 shots at it.
That's true.
I was just thinking how excessive that was.
Yeah.
Either that or she doubts herself. So maybe she thinks like that there was someone, but then she just doesn't want to believe her own hearing. Because Atkins very stupidly knocks over a piece of wood while he's watching her talk to Cordell.
I think it's just... She's just bad at this.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I wrote this in the note. This is the first time I write it as Matt Cordell. I don't remember exactly when they introduce his name, but I know that she says at least part of it on, when she's talking to him like a child.
Yeah. I think she just calls him Cordell at that point.
And this is the moment when Sally Noland, the lady in the leg brace, she just says, "Oh, I thought it was going to be okay, if you were just killing the dealers and the junkies." But then right before she said that, she was like, "Oh, now you can take out the mayor and the commissioner."
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to him just having very, not very, clear motivation, but then what he does not line up with his motivation very well.
Yeah, it could be revenge, but if it is revenge, then why is he just killing, random people?
Yeah, I have a theory, and we can go over that when we get to the part where they go over his backstory a bit more.
Sure. We'll get there.
Yeah. It's not a satisfying answer, but it is an answer.
Okay.
Possibly.
So, yeah, I forget who it is. Is it Atkins who goes to look at the newspaper clippings in the police department?
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's the other thing. I want to establish this right now. Tom Atkins is the main character, right?
Yeah.
We can agree on that?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Because, that's going to come back. It seems like the movie changes its mind later. But for right now, Tom Atkins is the main character.
Yeah.
So the man the police officer that's getting the records for Cordell, he says Cordell's motto was shoot first and ask questions later. But also that he was...
Great motto.
But also that he was kind and gentle.
Yeah. Okay, so that's something that that's another thing the movie doesn't really commit to, is that they play him up as kind of like an innocent guy who was fucked over by this corrupt system,
yeah.
But also a violent, brutal man who the implication is that all of that was okay because he did it to the right people,
the dealers and the junkies.
Yeah, what was it? What did he say? I guess even killers have rights.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Jesus.
When they look at all the headlines, I didn't read them the first time I saw this movie years ago. They're all saying cool stuff. It's like, oh, Cordell stops the drug ring. Cordell takes out the bomb factory. All of that. And there's only one report for when he's actually indicted, and it's covered up by one of the other articles, so they don't even let you read it.
No.
So you don't know what it is about. Whether or not he was framed. But I get the distinct feeling that he was not.
It really doesn't seem like it.
Well, he could have just murdered them, and, maybe it would have been justice, but, you do kind of have to follow the book.
Yeah.
It also...
Yeah, I just don't buy the idea that he was, completely 100% innocent on this.
Well, here's the weird thing. I actually remember this movie thinking that they never thought he was innocent. I was actually surprised watching it again, years later. I didn't realize that they put him in such a sympathetic light. Why would you do that if he's a brutal murderer,
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just, it's very weird.
Yeah.
And they show him, in that flashback walking through that, into the prison.
Yeah.
And, part of the implication is just that, it's hey, it's a cop, but it kind of feels like some of those people may have knew him and been like screwed over by him, or at least like beaten up and not treated well.
Yeah, it's like
you
when
know?
Rorschach was imprisoned in like Watchmen or whatever.
Exactly like that.
You're in here with me.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like they just kind of assert that he was like falsely sent to jail, but like it kind of feels like he should have been in jail.
Yeah, Cordell remembering the conviction is just a judge banging a gavel over and over again. There's not even any words, so we don't know what happened.
Great use of film language there.
Yeah. And also, that scene where Cordell is stabbed to death in the shower is shot like a scene from a Godzilla film.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah,
It was such a strange
I
take.
can see what you mean. Yeah, yeah,
Because everything's slow motion and grunty, you know?
yeah.
And even there, he
And in
seems
fact-
like this unstoppable beast, you know?
I was gonna say the lighting is even really similar to the lighting they use a lot in Godzilla 1984. It's like that deep blue kind of like filter over it, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so at this point in the film, Atkins goes back to investigate the record keeper lady, you know, some more, Sally Noland, and he just like finds her purse just laying there on the desk, and inside is Cordell's glove.
More evidence that she's just bad at this.
Yeah, well, I mean, earlier in the previous scene, they showed her taking off the glove to like rub his hand or whatever, but like, yeah, then she just kept it, which is bizarre.
Yeah, don't do that.
Also, it was a little troubling. I thought that she was his mother, and then later you find out that it's actually his girlfriend.
I feel like that would have been significantly more pathetic if it was his mother.
Well, it's pathetic either way, but yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know.
Like there's something about like a full-grown giant cop man like that being cared for by his mother that would really it would be hard to take him seriously as a threat.
Well, I don't know, because she's not a great character either in that sense. I mean, she's very devoted to him, and despite being Catholic, she throws herself out a window after he's put in prison and breaks her leg. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's just a weird character right off the bat. It's odd that nobody did a psych evaluation on her.
Yeah, I mean, especially because she's just like so relentlessly guilty looking
Yeah.
and guilty acting, and she's constantly surrounded by the police.
Yeah.
It really makes the police look like they're just like bad at their jobs.
Well, I mean, she's not an on, you know, like a what do you call it, an on the scene cop or whatever. She's just a record keeper. So like, I don't know. Maybe
I'm
that's
sure.
like, maybe that's being like retired or something.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like people would like still interact with you at least on some level.
Yeah. So anyway, Nolan sneaks up behind Tom Atkins and just flips out and just starts beating him with her cane.
Yeah.
Which
Kicks his ass.
for a while, and it looks really painful because his hands were already hurt. He had his hand cut open, I think, when he was fighting in the alleyway with Mallory, you know, to save her life from the Maniac Cop.
Yeah.
So, you know, just to bring back some continuity, they're like, yeah, let's make his hand hurt extra bad. But he does manage eventually to get the what do you call it, the cane away from her. And she just like saunters out into the hallway to get away from him and just immediately finds a dead cop just hung from the ceiling.
Yeah, you have to wonder about the continuity of that, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so by my reckoning, this is the 5th victim. But I don't know if that's true because later I get a different number from the movie, but I don't think they count some of the people who died in the street. So I don't know. It's just up to interpretation, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, she sees this dead person, and then she goes further down the hall trying to get away because she thinks, I guess, that because, you know, they know that she's associated with Cordell, that he's of no use to her anymore. And I guess he knows this because as she goes to a door, she gets pulled through, like, the glass window of the door back into the records room. So weren't they just from there? And then they just go back? So was he hiding there the whole time?
I mean, that does sort of seem to be the implication. Also, I don't understand how he knew all that.
Yeah, or even if he did know, I mean, I don't know if he would care.
Yeah, that whole aspect felt very flimsy to me.
Yeah, and so then
she also
oh, yeah, go
she
ahead.
immediately just she jumps to the conclusion that he was gonna kill her. But I mean, like, would she really have any reason to believe that?
Well, I mean, the only reason we know for sure that she would believe that is because she is killed by him.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, either way, in the end, she is proven right.
Yeah, her face is beaten into the far wall until she dies. And I didn't think she was actually dead because she didn't look that bad. I don't know, maybe it was all internal injuries, but she just kind of lays down and then never gets up again.
Yeah.
So then Atkins, who I will remind everyone is the main character of this movie, tries to stop Cordell and is savagely beaten by him, just kind of thrown all over the place.
Oh yeah.
So Mallory was what do you call it? Interrogating Campbell, who's like in the police department. You know, he's a suspect for the murder. They don't know. I guess apparently only a handful of people knew that Mallory and Campbell were in a relationship. Atkins thought he would be a stand-up guy, and then just let them kind of like hang around together for a while and like kiss or whatever. Mm-hmm. It would be a heartwarming scene if not for like just having watched his wife get murdered just several scenes before.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then they start hearing screams and noises. So Mallory leaves, she leaves Campbell behind. She at least had presence of mind enough to leave the wanted person in the room. But she immediately finds at least 3 policemen just dead, like right outside. Mm-hmm. There's one leaning on the iron bars. There's one hung up on the bars nearby. And then they push past the third one that's also dangling from the ceiling.
Yeah. That last one felt like it was a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah, he was hung up really high, too. I mean, I would love to just watch the scene where Cordell hangs him up there. Like, I
just to see how he does it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he did it, unless it was like that Indiana Jones on the Temple of Doom scene where, like, the guy gets pulled up into the fan. If it was like that, where, like, it kind of pulls him up. Otherwise, you would have to, like, pull him up on, like, some kind of a rope on, like, a winch or something, and then just tie it off.
Get a stepladder.
He seems to like hanging people, because that's the second guy he has hanging in the police department.
Yeah.
Also strange that, as an abused cop, or at least he thinks so, that he would kill so many cops.
Yeah. That is weird, because it's not like the cops sold him out.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert for later, it's kind of implied that the mayor did all of that, so yeah, it's not really the cops' fault.
Yeah, I mean, the cops seem to have either, like, mostly forgot about him or don't have a bad impression of the guy.
Yeah. So, okay, so then Bruce Campbell and Mallory, go looking for Tom Atkins, and they find a few more dead bodies. This is when I start losing track, because there's, like, really dark scenes, and I can't see, like, for sure where all the cops' bodies are.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this maybe isn't where the movie kind of takes a downturn, but it's kind of around here.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably around where it starts. It starts crumbling a little bit, splitting at the seams. So then we finally come to what may be victim 11, but I don't know. I lost count at this point. See, at first I just wrote, a police officer has thrown out a multi-story window. So I want to ask you, did you know right off the bat that this was Tom Atkins who was dying?
No.
even after the guy with the silvery wig hit the car?
I mean, when I saw the wig, yes, but
even after I saw the wig, I didn't think it was him.
I mean, it is shocking.
So in my notes, here I'll just write it the way I encountered the scene. I said, a police officer has thrown out a multi-story window in an awesome stunt. McRae? ? Atkins? Oh no! Cordell killed Tom Atkins. So yeah, it took a minute for it to just kind of sink in. Also, this is the point when Bruce Campbell and Mallory are in the hallway, and 2 cops come to arrest him, and he holds a gun on them, and so they lay on the floor. And the ADR is really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like someone just, like, said some lines, maybe to make the cops seem less incompetent. Because otherwise they would have just soundlessly, like, gone to the floor when someone pointed a gun at them.
Yeah, did not make the cops look particularly heroic.
Yeah. Okay, so after this, the assistant to the mayor says that McRae, Sally Noland, and 9 other people died. So I think that's 9 plus whoever the victims on the street were. So that's probably the number, or at least up to this point.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know. It's not my job to count kills. I mean, I was trying to, but it's difficult. This movie makes it difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, if they'd killed dealers and junkies, they probably wouldn't have even counted it.
That's a good point too. So I mean, I feel like there's maybe no way to get a fully accurate account of how many people he killed.
Oh wait, I have one more note about Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins is dead? ? I can scarcely believe it. He's the main character. This movie has a half hour left to go. My shock was deep and abiding.
I can tell because you're writing like a Civil War soldier.
Yeah. So the mayor's name is Mayor Killiam. And just like at this point in the film, which I'm not sure when this is, like a little over an hour in, he suddenly believes that Cordell is after him for pulling the strings to get him convicted.
Yeah, I mean, if he buys into the concept of a Maniac Cop, I feel like it's a safe assumption, but I don't know why he does.
Yeah. So, but they still have to prove whether or not he's still alive. And there was a scene earlier where Tom Atkins makes an appointment to go to Sing Sing, the prison.
Yeah.
And then he dies. And so, like, I don't know if that's on purpose or not. There's something weird about it, where it seems like Tom Atkins was supposed to do more scenes, and then he just had to go.
That does feel like a dropped, like, plot point, or at least, like, a scene or two.
Well, it's not dropped. It's just picked up by Bruce Campbell
and
Mallory.
Yeah.
You see, the filmmakers don't seem to have a good way to explain why Campbell and Mallory would visit Sing Sing, so they just put some voiceover on top of stock footage of a train going somewhere.
Yeah, that does feel like, I mean, not to speculate too hard, but maybe like a falling out with like the director or something, where you're just like, get out of here.
I don't know. Maybe this was the plan all along, but it does seem like maybe they didn't realize it would lead to a continuity gap where they have to explain why Campbell would do something that another character had endeavored to do.
Yeah, it's just odd,
to say the least. They show up. Campbell pretends to be Atkins, which is pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
And then they talk to some sort of doctor at the infirmary. I'm not sure which kind he's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's weird, because like, I got the impression that he was a doctor, but he is also clearly like a mortician, or at least like kind of serves that function.
Maybe he did. Maybe you do both when you're in a prison. I don't know. Maybe it saves money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about our prison industrial complex to know about that.
Well, whatever it was in 1988.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy does say that they just kind of stitch together, people who die, and just to get them in one piece so they can be buried.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, it may just be as simple as that.
Cordell refused to be in isolation while he was in prison. Why not?
Because he didn't want people to think he was a big old scaredy cat.
I mean, that's essentially what they say in the film. So, I mean, I guess, yeah. But, wouldn't it have been better, though, if he had gone into isolation and he died anyway?
I think that could have played more into the conspiracy against him. Like, they get some people in there anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like this is all just an act of will. I'm starting to wonder if Cordell would have been a good, like, RoboCop candidate, because he just had the strength of mind to just, keep going no matter what.
Yeah, even if it was very obviously going to get him killed for basically no reason.
Yeah, I mean, what, to make a point or something?
I mean, I get it if it was like a noble sacrifice thing, but sacrifice for what?
Yeah.
I mean, like who cares at that point?
Yeah. So the newspaper that the doctor has is called the Everyday Press, and it just has everything in it. Like apparently, like I think the massacre at the police department happened like the night before, but the newspapers have all of it.
Yeah.
Either that, or maybe more than one day has passed, and like there's just no way to know.
Yeah, hard to say.
But anyway, even though it would probably cost him his career, the prison physician let slip that Sally Nolan snuck out the still alive body of Cordell, even though he was near death and severely brain damaged.
Yeah, that seems like a real oopsie.
An oopsie doopsie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be proud of that.
I mean, yeah, he found a pulse on him, and he was like, "Yeah, this cop had it at a tough time. He didn't want to be in isolation, but why should he?"
Well, also just like he says he was brain dead, but I mean,
Brain damaged.
well, brain damaged, but like, come on, man. Like, give him half a chance.
So, I mean, I assume the doctor thought that, maybe Cordell could leave with his girlfriend and just be like a vegetable in a wheelchair for the rest of his life.
I guess, but like, why would he agree to that?
Who, the physician or Cordell?
Well, sure. Well, I'm just saying. Well, the physician. I get why, but he's risking a lot for very little gain.
Yeah, and he also just, like I said, he immediately admits this to just whoever asks, so that's kind of bizarre too.
Yeah.
They seem to just kind of hand wave it because even the doctor's real dismissive and it's just like, I don't know why I did this, just get out of my office. And this is when we finally get to that parade you were talking about. It's St. Patrick's Day!
Woo!
Woo! And you know that because right as that scene ends, I don't know who it is, a nurse or an assistant comes into the doctor and is like, "Hey, you need your green tie for St. Patty's Day." And this is where my notes say, now they're filming a parade.
That is a really good shoot the rodeo kind of moment. I assumed that, that was like I mean, it must have been a real parade because that footage of the cops was just like that was just them hanging out.
Yeah, those weren't stunt cops. Those were real cops, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I would assume so.
So, just to ruin the festivities or whatever. I mean, so Campbell and Mallory believe, perhaps rightfully so, that Cordell will go try to kill the mayor in the parade.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I don't know. I'm starting to lose the thread of the plot here.
I mean, yes, that's what they think, but also I don't know why they would assume at the parade. Like, why would he care?
Well, he has to be there, so I guess it's probable.
Yeah, but I mean, so part of the problem is that, so he feels like he was fucked over by this mayor.
Hey, you swear.
But like, well, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Screwed over. Yeah.
Yeah, for all the kids watching this video on Maniac Cop.
Yeah, exactly.
So, he could have gone after the mayor at any point, though. Before this.
Before or after, yeah.
Yeah. So, there's just... It's not even like it's a compelling place to go after him, because that would be, like, the worst time to go after him.
Yeah, there's cops everywhere.
Yeah.
Although I guess ultimately that's why he doesn't do that, because he decides to kill the commissioner and Captain Ripley instead.
Yeah.
So Mallory goes in to warn them, because she's nice. And they're like, we don't believe you. Also, we think you're an accessory to a bunch of Campbell's murders, so you're under arrest now. And that's where I wrote the note, a simple call would have sufficed.
Yeah, she very needlessly put herself at risk there.
I have to give the director credit for this part, though, because there's that creepy scene where there's the arresting officer. And he, he cuffs her, but then he uncuffs her for a moment. And he's like, yeah, maybe we can make a deal. And, I was thinking the worst.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were.
I mean,
Yeah, no, I know.
It was looking like it was maybe going to head in that direction.
Well, it's the 80s. I wouldn't put it past them. I'm glad they didn't, though. Here's the thing.
No.
They actually did something that made perfect sense. The arresting officer tries to cajole Mallory into admitting to additional crimes so he can get credit for having gotten it out of her, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? You're just like, yeah, I mean, you're already arrested. I just want some credit, that's all.
Please.
Yeah, please. And so, the commissioner and Captain Ripley, they're like, arrest this woman, and now we will leave the room. And so they walk out to the elevator and immediately get stabbed to death by Cordell.
Rookie mistake.
And I guess the arresting officer paused, to make the speech, mostly just so that they wouldn't be in the room at the same time.
Yeah.
So they follow soon thereafter. And just like from the side, like as if they don't have peripheral vision, Cordell just comes out of the side and just stabs this guy while he's handcuffed to Mallory.
Yeah.
And so then he dies, or I like to think that he's not dead yet. He's just dying. But Mallory has to drag his like dying body around for a while.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it's a good premise, and they should do things like that more often in horror films.
Yeah.
So she gets to the door to leave. It's blocked up by the dead bodies of the commissioner and of Captain Ripley. So great. So she goes and hides in what I guess is some sort of office like break room or something.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, and so Cordell is trying to break in, as you do.
Of course.
And so she throws a chair of some kind out the window and just crawls out. And I didn't realize that this was the plan, but Bruce Campbell is just like standing outside, just waiting for her.
Part of me still isn't sure that was a plan.
I don't know what's happening at that part, because he's just standing across the street just watching, and he sees a chair go out a window. And then all these cops get excited down below, because that's out of the ordinary. And they all run upstairs, right? To go arrest anyone they find, basically. And so he runs out and he's like, "No!" I don't know why he's trying. Like, what is he gonna do? Like just talk to her? Like, don't jump! I still love you. So he immediately gets arrested by like 50 cops.
Yeah.
And then he's put into a van, like a police van that's like right attached to the building that Cordell is in and that all the cops went into, which is very bizarre because I think I've written something about that. Yeah. Cordell somehow goes down 2 or 3 stories without being seen by the police that just rushed inside when Mallory threw a damn chair out the window.
He's really good at that. I feel, he just pushes that cap forward and everyone forgets that he's a 6 foot whatever, like walking a man monster.
I would have loved a scene where like he's hiding behind a door, like he just bamboozles them as they go by.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just hunches his shoulders and they're like, "Oh, that's a regular cop right there." Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way to film that without making the cops look just real bad.
I think they just had to like, well, this needs to happen. I don't know how this is possible, so we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I guess, dozens of cops go upstairs. They find all these dead bodies. They arrest nobody. And so then Cordell goes in, just coincidentally, he goes into the exact same police van. There's actually more than one out there. And he throws the driver out and just drives away with Bruce Campbell inside.
Also, that cop goes flying.
Yeah. I mean, I almost wanted to count him as a death, but I think he's probably just hurt,
No, yeah. He's probably alive, but, like, holy shit.
I mean, yeah, also there's several collisions along the way in these next couple of parts. They probably don't result in deaths, but who's to say?
Yeah, you never know.
Because, once you're done dead, you don't need to be a careful driver.
Yeah.
You don't need to do U-turns or whatever. I mean, you just do whatever you want.
No, I mean, it doesn't seem like he's crashing into people on purpose or anything, though.
Okay, so Mallory scrambles down off the roof from like a ladder that just kind of lowers. And then she commandeers a police vehicle, which is weird because the driver asks absolutely no questions.
Oh, yeah, he's completely down with whatever is going on.
I love this man.
Oh, yeah, no, he's great.
He has no idea what's going on. He's like, hell yeah, let's do this.
I mean, a little bit of a, like, movie headcanon here. I feel like he's the kind of cop that, like, joined the police for those, like, thinking it would be like an action movie.
Yeah.
And so he gets that opportunity, and he's like, all right, this is my time.
It's my time to shine. Yeah, and he does, too. He's cutting around other cars. He's being reckless. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just looked at my notes, wasn't Cordell going to kill the mayor at the parade, ?
Oh, yeah, no, he completely forgot about that.
So I guess he's just like, hell with it. I mean, he got a pretty good, couple of trophies there. He got the commissioner, he got the captain.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe he was just like, yeah, that was good, didn't get the mayor, maybe next time.
Okay, so then there's a very long car chase. I don't know if you want to talk about any of that.
My eye has started to glaze over at a certain point in that chase because it's not particularly exciting.
It's a great soundtrack, and
Yes.
the stunts aren't bad.
No,
It's not that
it's-
kind of
I don't know.
movie, but I don't know, but it's acting like it is.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's not enough that's like notable about that chase that
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're gonna do something like that, you got to go like full Blues Brothers and just destroy like 100 cars.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is this is towards the end of the movie. It's just not over the top enough for like the car chase at the end of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, also since he's an evil cop that apparently doesn't care about anyone, shouldn't he have been like pasting pedestrians and stuff?
Yeah, I think that something like that would have improved it. You know,
Well, I don't know if
just,
it
like,
would have. I
bullet-
mean, it would have been closer to character though. But it would have been a bummer to watch him just kill people for no reason. But he's been doing it all movie, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You could do something with that.
Or at least he could like try, and then and then people just dodge out of the way while he like laughs evilly. Like, I was framed, and now I'm doing this.
Thankfully, he does not say much of anything in this movie.
Well, no, I do like going with the theory that that the what do you call it? The prison physician said that he was severely brain damaged.
Yeah.
That would seem to indicate that he might not even have the capacity to speak.
No, I'm just saying that like if they had gone that route, I just don't know of like, I don't know how you could have had Maniac Cop talk and have that work at all.
Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe if it was just like an occasional one-liner or something.
Something.
So Cordell drives into Pier 14 and gets out and grabs an axe that's just sitting on a shelf.
Yep. As you do.
Well, it's a red one, so maybe it's out of a fire axe box. I forget, but
Yeah,
at this point, I'm not paying too much attention. I just know that he suddenly has one, and he hacks his way into the locked back door of the van where Bruce Campbell's waiting. For some reason, Bruce Campbell jumps out like it's a trick or something, like "ha-ha!" But he just lands in the dirt and then just gets picked up by Cordell. So like, I don't know what he was trying to do there.
No. I mean, bonus points for trying, I guess, but like trying to do what?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was his only shot, because that was right when the door was loose, so I guess he thought maybe he could run away, but he just fell over.
I guess. Yeah.
So, like, maybe he's like, the stereotypical white woman of some of these horror films, but it's Bruce Campbell. Oh, I fell. I fell on my keys.
Okay.
It really hurts.
I'm kind of liking the image of Bruce Campbell as the final girl.
He is. Yeah, and also, yeah.
I mean, he kind of is in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, and getting back to it, Tom Atkins is the main character of this movie. And so, like, for the last bit, it's just Bruce Campbell and this Mallory lady just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, like, at the end of Braveheart, when William Wallace is dead, it's got this big impact, and you're like, well, okay, well, this isn't really about the main character anymore, but this has purpose. And, like, I think that's, they wanted something like that for this, but it seems like Tom Atkins' death wasn't sad enough to really, like, mark the moment.
No. I mean, yeah, there's not enough of an emphasis on it.
Yeah. I guess they didn't have time for, like, a funeral. I mean, they were on the run, so,
Yeah. I feel like it... I don't know, there's something you could have done with that.
So anyway, he grabs Campbell, Cordell does, and Mallory arrives and points a shotgun at him. And then Cordell literally throws Bruce Campbell into Mallory from like a distance.
Another great throw by the Maniac Cop.
Yeah, which leads to, it begs the question, how strong is this guy?
Yeah, that's a good question, because he couldn't get the door open. So
Well,
it's
not
strong.
immediately, yeah.
Well, sure, but he had to get the axe.
Yeah, assume that Bruce Campbell is like, what, I don't know, 200 pounds maybe? He's kind of a thin guy.
Sure.
And so he got thrown, it looks like 5 or 10 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that would require incredible strength.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's just not consistent. But yeah, I mean, he could, I mean, it's like the police report said.
Extreme strength.
Extreme strength.
All points bulletin, guys.
Yeah.
Also, I'm almost afraid to ask this question, but do you think this is brain damage strength, or is this zombie strength?
I'm fully on board with the zombie thing at this point.
You think he's a revenge revenant?
Yeah, it just the whole like brain damage thing doesn't hold any water with me.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you're firmly in the dead camp then.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, by the sequel, he's clearly dead. But I just think, in this first movie, it's debatable. It might be either way.
Sure. Although there's like maybe like a bit of a hint of a kink in that later on, but it's like a real minor thing.
Yeah. Well, we're almost there. The movie's almost over. So Cordell grabs the shotgun from where Mallory dropped it. The police officer who bravely drove Mallory onto the scene threatens Cordell with another shotgun and is immediately shot in the face by Cordell.
Oh no, he shoots him. He just
does he?
Doesn't like yeah.
Okay.
He I think he either like misses or just like kind of like doesn't do anything to him.
Well, yeah. If he is undead, then that would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
So then Campbell disarms Cordell and is thrown around by Cordell for the trouble. So I guess just to not have the shotgun in his hands, because like the scene ends almost immediately after that.
Yeah.
Because like they start hearing the sirens and Cordell perks up, and even though he's murdered, I don't know, like a score of police officers, for some reason the arrival of Moore frightens him. So he's like, I'm going to get out of here, and he gets in the police van and then just drives away.
Yeah.
I almost wish it had ended right there, and it just like goes to credits.
I mean, it almost kind of does.
Well, yeah, there's only like a little bit left. So, yeah, so Bruce Campbell, yeah, he scrambles onto the van, on the driver's side, and he's like fighting Cordell as he's trying to drive. And I guess he was just disruptive enough that Cordell didn't see. I don't know what it is. Is it like the mast of a ship or something, or like a prow?
It was just like a metal pipe.
Is it a metal pipe? I thought it was a piece of wood.
I'm pretty sure it's a metal pipe.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, yeah, there's just something out by the docks, just aimed right at where his chest height would be sitting in that van.
That's got to be some sort of like safety violation or something.
Yeah, maybe. But it is right on the edge of the dock. So, I mean, even if there hadn't been that there, I mean, Cordell would have still just driven off into the water.
Yeah, I'm actually not entirely sure what his plan was at that point.
I don't know. Maybe he was already going for suicide, but he was just angry that it was like a more painful variety.
Yeah. So I'm looking it over right now. It is 100%. It is 100% a metal pipe.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
Or metal something, but
Yeah.
Oh, but that does bring up like my one maybe he's alive is that he does cry out in pain.
Yeah.
So, hard to say.
Maybe it's just crying out in outrage.
Yeah.
How dare you?
But yeah, that's like the one thing that kind of makes me think maybe he was alive.
Yeah.
But hard to say.
So yeah, he gets impaled. He goes into the water, and then the scene ends, and it just goes right to I don't know what it is, like a crane or something pulling the police van out of the water.
Yep.
And he's not inside. Oh. Yeah. I don't know why anyone thought he would be. Well, maybe because he was pinned there by a metal rod. So yeah.
I mean, seems like normally a reasonable assumption.
Yeah. So then you're like, where could he be? And then they immediately show his hand out on the dock, just like like the Joker from the first Batman movie, the Tim Burton one. Just out there in the water, like, oh, there he is. Like if anyone had bothered to look out there, they would have seen it.
Yeah, don't want to leave any ambiguity there.
Yeah, and I thought the movie was about to end, and I got really mad.
Oh yeah, if it had actually just ended there.
Yeah. So yeah, I wrote here. This is right near the end of my notes, and I'm just gonna read this verbatim because it's great. Mayor Killiam survived? Why? How does he know it was all Cordell? All the witnesses besides Mallory and Campbell are dead. And then and then later just in the same scene, you see his shoes like from behind some curtains. And so then you hear him clearly and obviously stabbed.
Yeah.
So then I wrote, "Oh, thank God, Cordell is there to kill him."
I mean, he had to.
Yeah. And despite all that, I still think that Bruce Campbell would be put to death for sure for all of this.
Quite like looking at the evidence, quite possibly.
Well, I was just thinking, like, how many people are alive who actually know the cop even exists, or at least has come back?
Yeah.
Apparently, the mayor's dead now, so only the mayor's assistant seems to know for sure.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how they found out. I mean, I guess they just assumed.
Yeah, her. Yeah, I don't know who would vouch for him.
Yeah, how would you prove that to the electorate? You know, like if you were the mayor, like you have to expend all this political currency just to get a guy off when it doesn't really matter. You know, like just to prove
Yeah.
it was a dead guy that did it.
Well, and also, like, would you even want people thinking that?
Yeah, I mean, why would you want to get people to believe the supernatural? I guess you
mean,
could go
yeah,
with the living person thing, you know, like, oh, well, he was alive, so.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very unusual for them to go in on the whole Cordell theory at that point.
I guess they just wanted a happier ending for Campbell and Mallory.
Yeah.
And so that's it, really. It just goes right to credits, and
Yeah.
it's finally over. Probably a half hour too late.
Yeah, they could have cut down on some stuff.
Okay, so I looked it up, and this film has 50% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is way higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care, but that does seem higher.
Well, it's not clear because there's supposed to be some kind of like, you know, like there's an audience score and there's a critic score. So the critic score is 50%. The audience score is 39%. So maybe that's more accurate.
That's really weird to me.
Yeah, I thought it was all one number. This is the first time I've actually like, you know, tried to consolidate, and like it didn't do that. It was just two separate numbers.
Oh no, I mean that's not the weird part to me. I feel like the movie would have had a stronger audience score than a
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It feels like the kind of movie where it's like the critics hate it, but like it's got its following.
I think maybe after the fact, because I had heard that the distribution company that made it, what are they called again? Let's see, Shapiro Glickenhaus Entertainment, actually made some pretty good money on it afterwards. Those men also produced and distributed Frankenhooker, Red Scorpion, Basket Case 2, and Basket Case 3, The Progeny.
Yeah, I haven't seen Basket Case 3.
Yeah, you know, the first scene is a deformed orgy, and so you don't really need to see it.
I mean, it sounds like I only need to see the first scene.
Yeah. I wonder, like, what their rationale was for that, but, yeah, that was a bizarre one. I started to watch that, I was like, oh, okay, I'll think about this. I might come back to it. I am a completionist in the end.
Yeah.
So now is the point in all of this. I don't know. Well, actually, you know, before we get on to the next thing, do you have any parting thoughts about the film before I do something
I mean,
else?
if we're gonna get into like rating it and whatnot, I'll probably save my opinions for that.
Okay. In that case, yeah, I'll just do a little Joe Bob rundown. So, yeah, for anyone in the hypothetical audience who doesn't know about Joe Bob Briggs, he used to, well, actually, he still does. He's pretty old, but he's not dead yet. He does a lot of horror movie reviews, and he would always end it with sort of a list of the things that happen in a horror movie that are of interest to people who are fans of the horror genre. So, you know, he'll say things like buckets of blood, heads roll, monster vision, yeah, 3.5 breasts, you know, that sort of a thing. If there's any kind of a fighting, he just puts a foo at the end of it. You know, like, so if there's a bear attack, he calls it bear foo, and things like that. So I've made a list of the Maniac Cop, Joe Bob rundown of the Maniac Cop film. So let's just see what I got on here. Let's see.
All right.
So, syrupy blood sprayed on a broken windshield. Zombie cop vision. Zombie cop flashbacks. Zero breasts. Death by wet cement. Multi-story defenestration. Police foo. And use of an oversized steak.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only way I could put it. I don't even know. Yeah, I guess you could say it was like the piercing of a van or something. I don't know.
I mean, impalement, vehicular impalement.
Sure. We were going to go with a scale for both how good something is and also how bad something is. So, do you want to go first on that?
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, credit where credit's due. There are some bad effects, but I mean, I think overall it's like a pretty well-made movie as far as like practical effects go. the gunshots look all, what you'd expect, not super gory or anything, but, they got the kick, the sound effects are nice. I enjoy the look of the Maniac Cop. It is just Robert Zadar, but it's an iconic look.
Yeah.
Although I feel like I kind of like his more zombied up look in the sequel, but I don't know. I guess if I had to do it on like a good scale, I'd say maybe like a 4 on the good scale.
4?
I mean, yeah, 4.
4 out of 10. All right.
But on the bad scale, there's some creative kills, some nice kind of like schlocky dialogue, especially from Frank, who I know he's the main character, so he can't really steal a show, but every scene he was in was great. He always felt like he was just like a little bit more dramatic than everyone else, and I enjoyed that.
That's true. Yeah.
He took the material seriously. It kind of drags towards the end, but I think that overall, it maintains some tension. It's like you're like invested in like seeing what the hell goes on, figuring out what his motivation is and whatnot. Up until you're kind of disappointed by that, but I don't know. Like the movie keeps your interest, even if it does like continually try and like deflate that interest.
Yeah.
So I guess on that scale, on the badness scale, I'd go for more of a like 5.
Okay, so just so we're clear on this scale, we just made it up. So
Sure.
The first scale, so good is like the positive stuff, right? And then the
Well,
second.
it's more of like what you would like traditionally good stuff in a movie, like the filmmaking, special effects, sound effects,
Yeah.
Props, that kind of thing. If it actually does have a good plot. And then like the bad stuff is more of like the kind of cheesy schlocky, like is there like some like great head explosion, a la Scanners or something like that?
Yeah.
Is there like a particularly ridiculous plot? Which, to be fair, it is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, without going like too over the top with it. So
All right.
yeah, I feel like 5 is pretty fair.
A 5 negative? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was also worried originally when we brought this up that it would be an even split. Like if you chose a 4 on one, you could just choose a 6 on the other. I'm glad it's not that. This is
I
all
don't
just
feel like it has to be.
subjective.
Yeah.
So okay, so I guess for mine, let me think. Like I said in the very beginning, like the parts of this movie are wonderful, like individual things. The performances are great from almost everybody, although some people do take it more seriously than others, particularly Tom Atkins. But also the guy who plays Captain Ripley was great. I love his gravelly voice.
Okay.
Richard Roundtree is in it as the commissioner. That was a Shaft. He dies probably too soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so all great performances from everyone. I love the cowardly mayor who plays it more like a dumb comedy. I like the lady who plays Mallory, but let me see. I'd say
Who's the? Sorry, not to interrupt, but the guy who tells off the mayor, who's like a week away from retirement.
Oh yeah,
I kind of enjoyed his performance.
He's some sort of office cop. Yeah, but I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, I got a week to go, so I don't mind telling you that it was the mafia that did all of this, and you're in their pocket, or whatever. That guy was great. Yeah. I agree. That guy was great too. Yeah, they were all great, honestly.
Yeah.
So let's see. For positives, I think I'm going to play this a little differently, actually. I think I'm going to say that the positive is like maybe a 5. Yeah.
Okay.
And then for the negatives, that's to say like the entropy of the movie, the bad parts that make you not want to watch it. I'd say.
I don't think. Well, I mean, to be clear, like when I say like the bad, I mean in the like, it like more like schlocky. It doesn't necessarily mean like, they don't have to be negatives.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. We'll figure
like
it out.
I said, yeah.
I'll do it my way, and you do it your way.
Okay.
For now, this is how I'm doing it. So yeah, I was just thinking like the goods and the bads, but yeah, well, I don't know. We can fight about it later. It'll be fun. So
Right, probably will.
I was thinking, yeah, okay. So I was thinking, like I said, the negative is more like the entropy, the downsides. But I guess you could say so bad it's good. But,
yeah, I mean that was kind of my thinking.
Oh, so yeah, goodness and badness. Oh, okay. So, and actually, you know what? I think I do like your version of this better, because otherwise I was just gonna like, no, actually, because I was gonna have the negatives outweigh the positives, and that, that's not fun. So, okay, yeah,
No.
I'll do it your way. So, in that case, if it's is this a good film in the traditional sense? I'm gonna give it like a 3, and for the negative, which is to say like enjoyable as a bad movie, if that's what you're thinking,
More or less, yeah.
I give it a, a 4 or 5. I'm gonna go with a 4, because ultimately it's too bleak. It's just not as much fun as it should be, you know.
That's true. The
So many
bleakness does
innocent
kind
people are murdered. Like half of the
Yeah.
victims. The cops aren't to blame. No one's really to blame. You know, they bring up some societal stuff, but it's not really the issue of the film. It's just like a backdrop, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels like they. It almost would have been more interesting if there weren't as many kills, but it's not that kind of movie. You can't do that.
Yeah, I almost like, some of those slow burn horror films where there's just like one murder, but it's just done really well, and it just like hangs over everybody, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's not really what this is about. This is a slasher
No.
film, and I think in the sense of that, it's not a terrible one. And honestly,
No.
the pieces are great. I just don't think, as a whole, it's all that much fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, sad but
I-
true.
Yeah.
Any parting thoughts you want before we get out of here?
Well, let's see.
Any
Oh my God, I should
societal
have thought of
gripes you
something.
want to like get out? Now that you've
Uh,
watched this police action thriller.
No, I don't feel like pissing off people just yet.
Oh, these cops are really grinding my gears
Yeah, let me tell you something. No.
about the judicial system.
I mean, so at one point I was like, I considered making a comment about like how the most fantastical element of this movie is that like a cop that goes around like killing as many people as he does actually like got in trouble for it.
Oh, that's great. I wish there had been more of that in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they hint at it, but they never really go for the throat.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, I don't remember them doing that in any of the sequels either. So
No, I mean, yeah, I guess if I had some last thoughts, I do think it's an entertaining movie, a little bit bleak, but honestly, strong remake potential.
yeah. Also, he's a great character on Terrordrome if you've ever played that game. In case people didn't realize, there was some South American guy who made a horror movie fighting game called Terrordrome, and for some reason he just threw in Maniac Cop. And, if I'm not going to be lazy about it, I might actually throw in the theme song for it at the end of this.
Perfect.
All right. So anyway, I want to thank all of you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Gorman on Gore.
Later.
Make it bigger than AIDS.